Okay, I think we're recording. Woo, we're here, we made it. I'm here with my tea, and now we're just going to go through human design types. And I love talking about human design from this perspective because I don't know, it gives you a better understanding of how the energies actually work when we can refer to a celebrity or somebody that we know, right? It brings it closer to home because whilst we don't know celebrities, we have an understanding of how they've shown up. And a lot of the things that we do and the ways in which you go about the world are unconscious. And yes, we can fake some things to make it, but for the most part, it's who we are. So human design is a synthesis of four esoteric wisdoms: Western astrology, Chinese astrology known as the I Ching, the Kabbalah system, and the Hindu chakra system. Those four esoteric wisdoms have been with us for thousands and thousands of years. They are tried and tested. We have data to, whilst some people may not say, or may say that you can prove it, we have data that allows us to lean into the wisdoms, make calculations and predictions, and understand energy and archetypes. So these four wisdoms come together and they create a fusion, or a synthesized, is probably a better term, to create a energetic body graph, which essentially shows you the energy of who you are as a human being based on the time that you were born. And well, there's two snapshots. There's a snapshot of the time that you were born, and then 88 degrees before you were born, 88 days, which is approximately 3 months. And there's a snapshot of that date too. And those two dates make up this energetic blueprint of who you are here to be, the energy, the way in which you show up and shine, and your journey throughout life. And those two calculations, those two snapshots come together and determine your type. Now, in human design, there are 5 energetic types. In traditional human design, there are actually 4. You have the manifestor, the generator, the reflector, and the projector. With some study and work with other geniuses, it turns out there's actually 5. And there's a subtype of the generator, which is known as the manifesting generator, which is what I am. The subtype is actually a hybrid of the manifestor and the generator. So let's go through the types with analogies, because I think that's probably a better way of using it. And I love Karen Curry Parker's analogy around the types because it's such an easier way to understand the energies of the types. So off the body graph, on the body graph even, there are 9 centers, energetic centers. It's actually where the Hindu chakra points, the Hindu chakra influence, or it's derived from, the centers derived from the Hindu chakra system, where the 7 chakras actually expanded into 9 centers. So in human design, we call it centers. And in the 18th century, it's believed there was a consciousness shift collectively within humanity. And so the heart center split into 2, and the solar plexus split into the solar plexus and the spleen. And so we'll just quickly go through the centers and then kind of unfold into how that determines your type. So you have the crown, or the head, the mind, the throat, the G identity center, the will center. So these two are known as the heart focus centers, the identity or G identity, and the ego will center. Then you have the sacral, solar plexus, spleen, and then the root. The solar plexus and the spleen also split out. And so the head is about information, inspiration, and questions. The mind is about conceptualizing ideas, conviction, answers. The throat is about communication and self-expression. It's the only chakra point where, I guess, our internal kind of gets vocalized out. So it's also about manifesting, actually. The G center is about your sense of identity, lovability, sense of self and direction. And the will center is about ego and willpower and ambition and, being motivated. Very kind of like competitive energy, ambitious energy. Then you have the sacral. And the sacral is quite a key part to determining what type you are. And the sacral is life force energy. It's our creativity. It's our vitality. It's about the energy that we have to be used up, essentially. The solar plexus is about our emotions and our feelings. And the spleen is about instinct and intuition. If the solar plexus is about emotions and feelings, the spleen's more about anxieties and fears. There's a lot of fear energy and anxiety energy in the spleen, because it's about safety, instinctive safety, fight, flight, or fawn. And then finally, you have the root. And the root is about adrenaline, energy, drive, momentum, get up and go, stress. So they're the 9 centers. Now, if you have a defined throat but a open sacral, you are a manifestor. The manifestors are types of people that are able to get things done very quickly and then work independently. So their energy is quick, spontaneous, fast moving. They have this direct to source connection that brings ideas in and can initiate and make things happen. That's because their throat is connected or defined, and it's connected to one of the motor centers. So the motor centers, there are 4 motor centers in human design. The main one being the sacral, because that's the energy to do, go, hustle, grind, sustainable energy. You have the will center, you have the root center, and you have the solar plexus. If you're a manifestor, the sacral is open and undefined. So you don't have access to sustainable energy all the time, but it will be connected to either the will, the solar plexus, or the root center. And they are one of the other motors, excluding the sacral. That's what makes you a manifestor. What makes you a generator is having the sacral switched on. That's it. You just need the sacral on to be a generator. What makes you a manifesting generator is the sacral needs to be connected is a better term, to the throat. So that manifestor energy in the throat and the generator, it makes you a manifesting generator. So the generators have access to sustainable energy, slight caveat in things that they love doing. So they can hustle, grind, build, be creative, all the things. And that's the same for the manifesting generator, except they have this connection to the throat directly connected. So some generators will have their throat defined, but it won't necessarily be, it won't be connected to the sacral through a channel. That's what makes you a manifesting generator. And the kind of truest, if we like to use that term, the truest channel in human design for the manifesting generator, and the only channel for the manifesting generator, is the 2034 connection. Then you have the projectors. So the projectors don't have the sacral defined. The sacral's open, just like the manifestor. So just to kind of stamp this idea, in order for you to be a generator or a manifesting generator, the sacral has to be switched on. And that means the other 3 types, the sacral is undefined or open. For a projector, it just means that you have an open sacral and one of the other motor centers is connected to the throat. So that being the will, the solar plexus, or the root. So most projectors are either emotional or you'll be a splenic. You can be an ego projector and a mental projector. As a manifestor, you could be a emotional manifestor or an ego. So finally, we have the reflector, and it just means that all their centers are open. Openness in human design is referring to the fact that the center is open. It kind of says what it does on the tin, that you're perceiving energy, you're susceptible to other people's energy. And so therefore there's room for confusion and doubt because you're not really sure what belongs to you and what belongs to someone else when processing certain energies. So openness sometimes can be given a bad rap because it's like, well, I don't know what I'm doing. I don't know who I am. I'm perceiving all these things. Does this energy belong to me? Does this emotion belong to me? Does this fear belong to me? Does this ambition belong to me? Does this energy belong to me? Where you have openness, you're constantly kind of borrowing from others because there's a lack of consistency and a lack of access to that energy all the time. When you are defined or have definition, there is constant access to that energy, and therefore it's more likely you'll be more embodied here, more direct, conditioning others as opposed to kind of perceiving energies. It's where you're more effectual and you're emitting energy as opposed to kind of taking in. So now we've kind of done a little bit of a breakdown of the centers and what makes you what type. Let's get into celebrity profiles, because I think this is really helpful to understand. And before I get into that very, very, very quickly, it might be easier just to refer to creating a creative production. So Karen Corey Parker came up with this analogy about all the types, and I love it. I think it's great. Manifestors, if we were in a creative production trying to get a movie or a play executed, the manifestors act like the producer, in that they have this idea, they have this wonderful idea, and this idea has to happen, right? They have this vision, and in order for the vision to unfold, it needs energy to get the production going. You're going to need, you know, the script writers, you're going to need the actors, you're going to need the runners, you're going to need the set builders. There's lots of energy that is needed in order to make a creative production happen. And so the manifestor is the producer in that they're like, guys, I have this idea, I have this vision, and they essentially get everyone on board to make this vision happen. So they have the idea that in starting these concepts, but they may not necessarily have the energy to maintain how that's going or to keep the fire burning, so to speak. So if they've started a fire here, they've got it going, initiated it, quick, fast turning and dynamic and impactful, but it needs generator energy to keep it alive, to keep it, you know, moving, to get things done. So that's how the manifestor works in the creative production. Then comes in the generator, who is the energy of, well, it's just the energy. They bring the energy to build and create and to turn something from inspiration into physical form. So that is the film crew. That is the set builders, that is the runners, that is the actors, like physical energetic bodies getting things done. So they're part of the film crew. The manifesting generators are also part of the film crew, but maybe they have a slight caveat. So manifesting generators are very good at, like, you know, bringing new ways of working or lanes or like these really kind of agile routes to things. So, you know, that might be CGI or that might be the stunt guy, these specific specialities essentially that kind of make the movie into a blockbuster. That's the kind of best way to describe the manifesting generator. So they're specialities that come in that have the energy and also these acute, cool ideas, innovative ideas to, kind of put the icing on the cake. The projectors act like the directors. They're that director energy in that they have this acute sense of what's working, or how to improve things is probably a better way. They're very efficient. They know how to improve efficiency, and they are good guides for generator energy. So they can see that generators are probably creating a bit of chaos in the moment, and they can be like, cut, action, runner, go and get XYZ. Actually, guys, we need to move you closer into the set. We need to move the camera back. Let's get closer into the scene. I need you to speak softer. Like, they're very good at systematically knowing what's working and how to improve it. So that's the projector. And then you have the reflectors, who would act like the film critique or the audience. They are watching the whole thing. They've been watching the set. They've been watching the crew. Then they've watched the whole movie. They are the barometers of humanity, and they are sensing and feeling the pulse of who we are, and can tell what's working and what isn't working. So they could say to you that worked really well, but the film's really rubbish, and actually those people over there, they didn't enjoy it, and these people over there, like, they're looking at the collective energy and what's happening in the collective. So that's another way of describing all the types. And now let's get into the interesting stuff, and let's talk about some celebrities. So now that I've kind of gone through all these different types, it'll be interesting to know what type you are, if you know what type you are, and if you resonate with these personalities. That's a better term. Are you a manifestor like Adele, a trailblazer and a bit of a fire starter? Adele's got like fire starter energy for sure. She's somebody who doesn't need permission to create. She makes the first move and then the world follows. And that's essentially the manifestor energy. They're very visionary, independent, and deeply impactful. Adele is a classic manifestor in that sense. She kind of disappears for years, creates things on her own terms, and drops an album, and then it changes the industry. You know, it's like #1 blockbuster movie style type of music, right? Adele's somebody who doesn't chase trends, essentially dictates them. You've all heard her say, like, I don't go on the TikTok. She's not up for the trends, and she's fairly young, right? But she follows her creative urges without asking for approval. And that's the kind of vibe of manifestor energy. They're not looking for approval. They're not looking for permission. I don't think anyone can tell Adele what to do. She has done things on her own terms. I didn't even know she had children, for crying out loud, for a long time. You've got the other superstars out there that have children and then kind of come back into the game. But she's very unique in the way that she creates and initiates. And she's got strong presence. Very impactful, deeply impactful. She commands space. If you've been to any of her concerts or seen her talk at a concert, you know, she is not afraid to reprimand someone for just being like rude and out of order. So that's Adele's energy. Okay. Are you a generator like Beyoncé? Generators are builders, they are powerhouses of sustainable energy. When doing what they love, they have strong work ethic, high stamina, deeply magnetic, especially when aligned. And this is Beyoncé. She embodies generator energy. Her work ethic is unmatched because she does what she loves. And you can tell she loves what she does because of the way that she puts on these productions. I think we've all been to a Beyoncé concert, and if we haven't, that's because our pockets are broke. She's loving making us spend money. But when she follows her drive and alignment, you can tell it's exciting for her, and it's almost effortless in many ways. She has generator energy in that when she's on that stage, everyone is buzzing and can feel the vibe and can feel her love. And she talks so much about how much she loves what she does and how lucky she feels about doing what she loves. And I think that really encapsulates this generator energy. They are absorbing and kind of attracting and extremely magnetic when they are in their zone of genius and in their zone of satisfaction. And I think you can kind of tell if ever Beyonce is not feeling what she's doing, because people kind of sense that too. I've like heard people talk about it in their concerts, like, oh, she wasn't on today. You could tell she wasn't 100% on. So I think that's really interesting. Okay. Are you a manifesting generator like Rihanna, a multi-talented innovator who moves fast, pivots often, who does it all? Rihanna is a singer, fashion mogul, and beauty entrepreneur. She literally juggles many passions and she implements them in such efficient ways. Like Fenty Beauty was like mind-blowing when she brought that out into the beauty industry. And she adapts so fluidly into all the different industries. She's fast-moving. From her music to Savage X Fenty, she jumps between projects effortlessly and no one thinks, oh my God, that's weird. They just like, she's got this empire. She doesn't limit herself to one passion. Of course, we all want her to get back into music, but she pursues everything that excites her. And that's the true manifesting generator energy. So I'm a manifesting generator and I can say I 100% relate to Rihanna. It's all about doing what you love and shifting things when you need to. It may look odd to other people that you have several passions, but as long as it feels right for you, why not? That's MG energy and I love it for that reason. Innovate, move fast, and change things up if you need to. Okay, are you a projector like Mariah Carey? Projectors are guides. They're seers. They're here to direct and refine energy rather than generate it themselves. Projectors are the masters of efficiency and very much natural leaders. So let's use Mariah in this case. She's like the music diva, right? She has magnetic projector energy. When she's recognized, she shines effortlessly. And she has perfected her craft using less effort for maximum impact. I think we've all seen her on stages where she's literally, I mean, even in Vegas, I think the other day, she's just dancing like this and men carry her around the stage. She's not here to hustle like the generator. It's that she waits for the right time to showcase her talent. Classic example of this is All I Want for Christmas Is You. I mean, that song speaks for itself. Minimal effort, lasting impact. I love that. And of course there is energy around that. There's lots of effort around her voice and her talent, but she just needs to sing and people come running. And that's the thing about projector energy. It's about you being yourself and in your element. And that's when you are most magnetic, that you can literally release one song and pay off your children's children. Like, you know, I think they're sorted for like eternity. Every Christmas, All I Want for Christmas comes on the radio and we all know it and sing it and never get bored of it. That is the epitome of projector energy, in my opinion. Okay. So finally onto the rarest type. Are you a reflector? The reflectors are 1% of the population. And let me just kind of backtrack a little bit so you can kind of see the context of this. Manifestors make up 9% of the population. Projectors make up about 21%. Manifesting generators about 37%. And generators 33%. So 1% of humanity are reflectors. They are such a gift to this world and are needed. And yes, they're rare, but are so needed. Let's get into your type, right? So the reflector's gifts is their ability to absorb, reflect, and amplify energy around them. A true reflector is somebody who transforms and adapts based on their environment and the people that are around. So this one might be a bit controversial, but if we're going to talk about someone who completely reflected the world back to itself, we have to talk about Michael Jackson. Controversial for obvious reasons. Michael Jackson didn't have a fixed identity. He evolved with every era of music and culture, and he reflected the culture back to us too. He he was reflecting back to us what was happening in the world. His status and his power was like, there's no one in the world as big as Michael Jackson, right? His sound, his style, his artistic expression, which changed with every decade. His identity did, from Motown to pop stardom, you know, very futuristic in lots of cases and very global influential, right? Reflectors take on many personas, and Michael really embodied that. He's a different version of himself throughout his career and often captured the collective consciousness. He instinctively kind of knew what the world wanted to hear and at what moment. And if you think about the Earth song, you know, he was reflecting back to us, what are we doing to the world? And no one was singing about that at the time. He was a rare mirror in lots of cases. Even the song, The Man in the Mirror, no pun intended or cliche, that's a reflection of his energy. He was kind of, you know, sharing back to us, you know, what was happening around. He also amplified the energy that was around him. He didn't rush his albums. He very much took his time. You know, he was a perfectionist in that way. He wanted to take his time in things. That kind of works in alignment with Reflectors, because Reflectors need like a whole month to make a decision. I know that sounds like really wild for some people to hear that, but they are the barometers of the world and they're checking in collectively. And so the moon goes through 64 gates. In order for them to make a decision and kind of really understand where they sit in clarity, because they've been perceiving so much, it takes a whole lunar cycle for them to kind of get to a stage of like, yeah. So this was Michael Jackson, you know, very much embodied his music and took it seriously and wanted to reflect back to the world what I guess the love that they gave to him in his superstardom. Before Kendrick Lamar smashed the records for Super Bowl, Michael Jackson was the record holder. And I remember watching the director on the set being told to wait before he turned the music on. He waited 3 minutes to absorb the energy from the crowd. It's kind of like a power up, you know, he was really taking on that energy. I think what also alludes to his sensitivity to his surroundings. You know, so whilst he made him a superstar, he was also intensely private and very selective about who he let into his world. And I think also his adaptability to the environments around him and his change in identity, it can be quite, you know, cognizant of Reflectors who will have lots of different friends and can mold and weave into different environments. I think that's like a, you know, perfect example. So yeah, they're all the types. I really hope that you enjoyed hearing this breakdown. I'm really excited about when I get into the podcast, because we're going to talk about how human design really influences your sense of style and who you are and your identity. And this feels really good to just lean into these personalities, because it's so much easier to see, feel and understand when we have context to kind of bring it back to. So yeah, until next time, I hope you enjoyed this session and see you soon.